I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to part 3 of the London is Blue podcast. This week, Brandon, myself, joining me as always, Nick and Dan and Olivia staying with us all week for these 3 episodes. So if you've missed it, go back and listen. We talk transfers. We talk what in the world has gone with the Premier League and other leagues around Europe and what we think we should do. But this time we're going to kind of do a mini lightning round interview with you, Olivia. Get your perspectives. You've had some amazing experiences in football at Chelsea. We want to talk about that. And then we have a fun little exercise at the end. If we had to pick a best 11 between the men's and women's team, I think this should be fun because we can all dogpile on Nick. So before we get to that point,
Bring it.
You've had a lot of interviews that you've been able to do in your time. Who was maybe the easiest player that you're able to interview at Chelsea, or maybe the most fun that you've had so far?
It's really hard because when I've spoken to like a lot of the Chelsea players. Actually, I've been really lucky to have like chatted with quite a lot of them. And it's going to sound really like cliche because I'm talking. This was like a couple of years ago now. But I spoke to John Terry, and everyone will say when they interview John Terry that he was the nice, and he is. I can't sit here and go, I'm just going to pick someone else just because it's a bit different. But genuinely, he was so lovely. He was so easy to talk to, which I find when you talk to these footballers, to me, they are just people. I don't look at them in any other way as just normal people. But when I speak to Chelsea players, when I spoke to Hazard, I was inside, I was crying, but I had to try and compose myself and be like, Liv, you're at work, like this is fine. And actually Hazard was really lovely as well because he's a bit of a joker. He was laughing and joking and telling me about his favourite goal he's ever scored for Chelsea, and just like it was really laid back. But I'd probably say out of everyone, John Terry was by far the easiest. It was more like a chat, and I think that's what you look for in an interview, isn't it? For it to be more of like a relaxed chat rather than just me like rolling off questions. So I'll captain.
So what about beyond Chelsea, beyond anything that you've experienced at the club, who's been your favorite person to talk to in kind of world football or across Europe?
Do you know what? It wasn't actually work for the Premier League, but I did some work for a company called Techball. And I don't know if you know them. I don't know if you know what they are, but it's basically for people that are listening that perhaps don't. They're like, you probably would have seen Premier League clubs playing on them. They're like a table tennis sized table with curved edges, and you play football. Yeah. There's loads of rules. So basically I did some work for them. And I went out to Budapest and I had a little interview with William Gallas, had a little interview with Carlos Puyol, and then I had a little chat with Ronaldinho, which to me was the most bizarre day I have ever had in my whole life. And to sit there in the company of such legends, especially someone like Ronaldinho, who is up there with like the elite, like he is up there with the Ronaldos, the Messis, that sort of level of player. And sit there and have a chat with him, and I was just a bit like, I've just met Ronaldinho. I'm talking to Ronaldinho. Like, how has this happened? But Carlos Puyol was also really nice, and for someone that's obviously we've had so many rivalries over the years with Barcelona. But I've always really liked Barcelona. Unless they play against us, I like watching them play. I love Lionel Messi. He's the one person I just adore watching. So I really liked chatting to Carlos Puyol. His English was really good as well, and we were just chatting about football and tech ball and everything, and that was really nice. I think Premier League, if we're going Premier League, do you know what? I actually did a really good interview a couple of weeks ago with an Aston Villa player. I don't think he's particularly well known. His name's Courtney House or Courtney Hawes, I think. Not quite sure how you say his surname, but he basically just released a song, and it makes such a difference when you're interviewing a player about something they're really passionate about, because you find when you interview players, they're just sometimes a little bit like sometimes you just can get the vibe that they perhaps don't want to be there sometimes, which makes your job a little bit easier, but I'm sort of used to that. But he was you could just tell by the way he was talking, his facial expressions, just everything. You could tell how passionate he was about it. And that made my job so easy. It was just, we were laughing, we were joking. And he was really, really nice. He was so easy to chat to. So yeah, I'd probably say he's been one of my favorites.
Who's on the dream list of interviews for you in world football right now? So it sounds like, if you had a top 3, it sounds like Messi's probably on there, but who would you fill out with the other 2 spots?
Yeah, Messi's always been my number one. It was always on my bucket list to see him play. And I saw him play when he played for in La Liga, which was amazing. And then obviously I saw him play 2 games against us, one of which we kept him quiet and the other which he absolutely ran riot. So yeah, that was really good. God, the other 2, that's really hard. Do you know, if we go Premier League, I know it sounds ridiculous, but there's no one I'd rather interview than Frank Lampard. I think being a Chelsea fan, growing up, him and John Terry being my heroes, to just sit down with him for however long and just have a chat about, do you know what I mean? Just have a chat about his life as a player to now, it must be his dream, do you know what I mean? To be managing at the club he loves. So I think I know it's probably every Chelsea fan's dream, isn't it, to manage, to interview Frank Lampard. And if we were going to go, let's go someone else. Should we go Premier League or not? Just trying to think who seems like quite a character. I would say Hazard, but I've already chatted to him and he was a character. He was funny. I'd like to interview someone that's a little bit, I mean, do you know who would be good to interview? I know I don't know if he's retired now, but I think Ibrahimović would be quite a good one. I think he's quite an interesting character. I think it'd be such a challenge as well, because you just don't really know what you're going to get with him. But for someone that's that sort of, I don't know, there's just something about him that you just would, I think I'd just love to be in his presence and just sort of feel, I think it'd be quite scary actually as well. But, you know, I'm all up for a challenge. I think he'd be quite cool as well.
You'd have to prepare for every aspect of anything.
Yeah, I know.
You'd have to go for like, is he pissed off today? And I'm going to just ask some really straight-laced, whatever career questions. Or is he just loving life? And I'm going to ask him.
You just never know, would you? Yeah.
All right. Well, as you've been able to be, obviously, it's so many huge matches for Chelsea. What is one of your favorite pre-match moments, kind of in the build-up to one of these big matches?
Oh, that's really hard. Do you mean it's obviously like when I'm working?
Yeah, the show.
Do you know, I didn't actually do any work for it pre-match, but one of my favourites was, I mean, I'm going to sort of switch it to post-match if that's okay. Because I did, after Spurs Chelsea this season, I got to speak to, so, I mean, I would have done anything to have been in the away end that day. I would have done absolutely anything just because I was sat there sort of behind, I was next to the Chelsea dugout and I was like, oh, like Spurs fans behind me, and I wanted to just go mental, but obviously I couldn't. But after that, just the feeling, because I was obviously at the Spurs stadium, it wasn't actually at Stamford Bridge, but I then got to speak to fans all over the world that had come to watch the game. Some Spurs fans, which was I quite enjoyed. You could just see on my face the smirk I had on my face whilst I'm talking about it, and a couple of Chelsea fans as well. And that was so much fun. And then all of the Chelsea players walked behind us, because obviously to get out of the Spurs stadium, you have to walk round the pitch and through a sort of an opposite, one of the opposite sort of like gates. And there was like Pulisic, Frank Lampard, Tammy, Mason, all walking past us while I was doing this interview. So that was pretty surreal, I think. But yeah, anytime we beat them was good. But to be working at it, that was the first Chelsea Spurs game I've worked at. So yeah, it was pretty special.
How wide were the smiles on all of their faces as they were walking out, heads held high?
They were, so you could just tell. And I had the fans behind us stopping, because they were, obviously for fans as well. Obviously I consider myself a fan, but having been around them for work, you sort of get used to it. But for these guys that come over from America, and Frank Lampard's just walking past them, or Pulisic especially, being American, they were all stopping for pictures, and they were obviously we've just won 2-0. And it was, it was great. So they were all buzzing as well. So it's really nice. It's really nice for them.
All right.
Frank got a little extra on that one, Brandon, at the end of that game. He was
little mustard.
Just a little extra on top of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, you know what, Nick? I think we should transition a little bit to FPL, because if anybody knows the podcast, everyone knows that you are the FPL guy on this team.
Now, let's be fair. I have actually filled up my lineup for almost every single week this year, which is a huge credit to my dedication to the sport. I'm usually the
nice
worst.
if you'd be committed to other things like that, Nick.
I only have room for one thing, so this is the thing I chose. But no, I mean, it's been kind of fun this year because we've done our own league and you know, certainly we've kind of like swapped positions, although I'm definitely ahead of Brandon, I think, which is great. Let's talk about your work with the FPL, because we know that you do kind of the weekly videos and you kind of give tips and everything like that. So have you had like a key, because there are points when I watch your show where you're like, I told you that this was going to happen. It happened, and now I've told you again. Like what's been your best kind of tip that you've led into a week with?
You know what? I think it's like, I'm one of these people that actually, before getting this job, I was very much like, if I'm rubbish, I'm giving up. So it gets to Christmas time and I've been useless and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it anymore. So this year I really had to concentrate, and like for people that watch the videos and think of me as some FPL expert, I'm like, oh, like if you saw my team. No, to be fair, I've actually done quite well this year. This is the best year I've done by a mile. I can't even think of like a good, do you know, actually a good once, I mean, I didn't take my own advice here, which is really frustrating because obviously I have to give out loads of different hints and tips about loads of different people. So I can't sort of like use them all myself. But God, one thing I did do, which is so frustrating. This season, Norwich were playing Newcastle at home, and I was said to everyone, put Teemu Pukki in your team. He will score. He was one of my like differential captains basically. And what did he do? He went and scored a hat-trick. And which idiot didn't put him in her team? This one. And I was just sat there watching it, and I was like, oh my word, like I've told everyone to captain him and I haven't even put him in my team. So for everyone else, that was a great bit of advice. And it's also backfired on me many a time, because I've also said for Pukki to score in other games and people have actually listened and decided to captain him, and then he doesn't do anything. So yeah, it sort of swings and roundabouts, but that one was probably the most frustrating for me, but the best for everyone else if you decided to listen.
So has there been a time where you felt really good about something and maybe it kind of backfired in a similar way, like the worst transfer out, where you were like, I can't believe that I'm going to like let this person stay in. So you swap them out in a week and then they just go bananas?
I find that always happens. I find that like you go to pick players and you just think, right, I've had them in my team. Oh, do you know what? Oh no, I was saying worst transfer. I actually had a good transfer as well. Kept in Vardy. I just, when he couldn't score over the Christmas and just sort of into January, couldn't score, and I was like, right, I'm going to keep him. And then that game against, was it Newcastle? I can't remember who they played, but he came on, and within minutes he'd scored 2, and I was like, yes, that was the one time. That's sort of the other way. It's worked in my favour, but I can't think of a transfer. But what I can think of is I'm really stubborn. Or previously, but my life revolves around FPL. When I'm at work, when I'm not at work, everyone is talking about FPL all the time. And back in 2015-16, when Chelsea obviously had that awful season, I was so stubborn and I always wanted to have 3 Chelsea players in my team every single year. This is the only season now I've learned from my mistakes that I haven't. And I kept Hazard in for the whole of 15-16.
Oh, God.
Which is, in hindsight, very, very stupid. But every game I was like, oh, no, he'll come good. Like, he'll come good. And I can't even tell you where I finished that season because I would have been so bad. But this season,
even play for like 6 months.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, part of me was just like, whoever played instead of him, I would just transfer him in. And then as soon as Hazard would be back fit, he'd come back into my team. Because part of me was like, oh, he'll come good at some point. And then he just never did. But this year, I've actually even surprised myself. I mean, technically I should be good at it because it's actually my job. But yeah, I'm topping all of my leagues bar one, which is the work one, which I'm about 13th, I think, out of about 150. So pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm doing well. I've just got to hope this season finishes now because I want to finish it. I want to see how high I can get.
God, I haven't even looked at it. I need to look at where I am.
Unfortunately, Dan did that. Yeah. So, anyways. I bailed. I'll just say that Dan is happy to put it out there because he's in 4th. Nick is in 36th, and I'm in 64th. So I honestly haven't looked at it.
Mind the gap, dude. Look at that.
All right. Well, to whoever's in 1st in our league, I apologize that this season is gone pear-shaped and upside down, but there's always next season. Am I right? I don't know, actually.
Richard Davis leads our league.
All right, well.
And unlike the Premier League, we will award our prizes at the end.
True.
Whenever this thing finishes, we'll make sure that we come good.
All right, well, last exercise here for the day, and I think this is going to be a fun one. I was pleasantly surprised at Dan's creativity when he got to challenge us with a nice little mental exercise here. He put the challenge to us: a Chelsea men/women combined 11. Pick 5 men, 5 women, and as most people could care less who the goalkeeper was. That doesn't count either way. And again, it's from the current first teams. They don't have to be healthy. They don't have to play a lot of minutes. They can be whoever you want. So, we'll save the funnies for last with Nick. So Dan, your idea.
Hold on.
We'll go ahead and let you start this off.
Oh, I think none of these will be funny because you have 2 exceptional groups of talent, Brandon. But, it is a fun exercise. So I went with a 4-4-2 with a midfield diamond. I'm going to put Willie actually between the sticks just in case we're going to a penalty shootout. I want to have him there.
That's what you're concerned about, is a penalty shootout?
I am concerned. Also, it's a little bit of height there as well. Back 4 of Reece James, Eriksen, Millie Bright, and Marcus Alonso. The 4 midfielders being Ji-So Yoon, Billy Gilmore, Mateo Kovacic, and Aaron Cuthbert. There's a lot of fire in that midfield. A lot of shining bright like a diamond. And then up top, the 2 best, the 2 biggest,
worst.
2 best strikers in England, Tammy Abraham and Bethany England.
Well, clearly biased. I wouldn't say they're the 2 best strikers. Bethany, yes. Tammy understandably has time to develop, but interesting. I mean, you've got a couple young Scots in your midfield.
I do.
I think that's
Scottish duo.
That's interesting. Alonso made it in, so clearly you're just going all out attack, is what I'm reading from your lineup.
If you have Tammy Abraham and Bethany England up top, you need people who can cross the ball into them. As much as I want to put Dave in, Alonso is just a touch better of a crosser coming in from the left-hand side than Aspie is. And, I mean, look, there's height in the box for kind of any type of set piece as well. Like, I think this is very evenly distributed. Maybe a little short in midfield. I will definitely I will say that.
You don't say.
We've seen all of those players, play beyond what their physical size looks like.
Right.
Me, Aaron, Billy, Mateo, all of them play bigger than they actually
We haven't got that tall team, have we? If you think in general, Marcus Alonso's quite tall. Tammy's obviously tall, but there's not a lot. We haven't got a huge amount of height, have we? It's not a lot to.
Yeah, that has been something, especially our inability to defend a set piece and corner kick this season is been a big thing. All right, I'll go next. So I've got Ann-Katrine Berger between the sticks because she is imperious. Reece James right back, Millie Bright and Eriksen as my center backs, and Aspie is left back. Conte, Kovacic, and G in my midfield. So essentially Conte and Kova can play behind G. And then my attacking 3 are Pulisic, England, and Cuthbert. So my goal was to get as many just kind of the back line, I just want to be rock solid. So with the center back turmoil we have on the men's team, I'm just going to put one of the best center back pairings in the FAWSL, done, sealed. And then Conte, you just can't. He's world class. You can't leave him out. Kovacic has been player of the season for the men, and G is just so creative. She can unlock. She can score goals. Fantastic. And then I think the front 3 speaks for themselves. So any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Am I go next?
Tough call to leave Tammy out. That's a bold move. Bold move.
Bethany England is absolutely on fire.
Leave.
So I'm only playing with one striker. So
Kerr might have been a little premature just because she still hasn't kind of hit her form for our team yet. But I can see why you would put her in the team because she's also super prolific at scoring goals.
yeah, big signing, big reputation, understandably so. But yeah, Olivia, what have you got for us?
I'm going to go Big Willie as well in goal. Right, Reece at right back. Got to have Reece James. I've gone with Tomori and Millie Bright as a centre-back partnership. Left back was quite hard, I think. I went Anderson because she's played more consistently because I was going to have Hannah Blundell, but she hasn't played as much and she's right-footed. So we'll go Anderson at left back. Then I've gone 4 in midfield. Kante and Kovacic, I just don't think you can look past them two. Kovacic has been absolutely ridiculously good this season. And obviously Kante's Kante, no explanation needed. When he's at his top of his game, he's sort of unbeatable. Anyway, I've gone with Fran Kirby right wing. I know she's more of like a number 10 or strikery, that sort of role, but I think she's versatile. I think she can play out wide. And I think when she plays, she is absolutely brilliant. I know she's had whatever reason she's missed a lot of the season, but I think if we're thinking of top Chelsea women's players, and I think you've got to go Fran Kirby, and I've gone Erin Cuthbert as well at left wing. I watched her at the Women's World Cup, and she was absolutely brilliant. She was so good. So she's my left wing, and then up front, it was tough. I had to go Tammy. I don't think you can score that many goals in your debut season, and Tammy can't go in there. And it was a toss-up between England and Sam Kerr, but I did go Sam Kerr. I went Sam Kerr. I watched her at the Women's World Cup as well, and she was at next level. She was different class at the Women's World Cup, and that's sort of the big stage, isn't it? Doing it for your country at the World Cup. So we've yet to see her sort of best for Chelsea, but I think her and Tammy, would be a nice little partnership. It's like little and large, isn't it? I think they'd link up really well. So I've gone Tammy and Sam up front.
Oh man. It's as you're going, I'm like, all right, well, this is very English as you started out your defensive line, and then we sprinkled it in. I'm really impressed you went with Kerr over England, but again, it's kind of hard to fault any of these decisions.
Yeah, everyone's right.
Oh man, I love the variety we have so far.
Is that strike duo called Sammy? Because it's Tammy.
Oh my gosh, no,
Get
stop
out.
him.
Get
Pull his
out
mic,
right
pull the plug. All right, Nick, it's going to be hard to defend yourself here since you have 2.5 lineups Frankenstein, and I don't even know where you're at.
No. I made the full thing. I had to write it out. I went something different because everyone's playing a back four, so I went wide. I played a 3-5-2. I had a bit of an interesting work through scenario here, but I went Berger in goal. Reece James, Millie Bright, and Fikayo Tomori make up my back three. There's a lot of speed. There's a lot of power. There's some pretty good crossing ability from both sides. I think we're going to be okay there. And then, like Olivia, I have Erin Cuthbert playing on the wing, but on the right wing, because I think when we've seen her play for Chelsea this season, it's probably been the position where she's most frequently being played is on the wing, and it's just amazing to watch her work rate kind of go. She's imperious, I would say. I have N'Golo Kante sitting back in front of my back three with Mason Mount and Guro Reiten in front of him to do the little interchange, kind of swap number 10 positions. And there's going to be a lot of movement going forward with my team. And then I have young Christian Pulisic on the left wing, just making dynamic runs and doing his thing. And then you don't have to pick between Beth England and Sam Kerr if you don't want to. And I haven't. I have both of them up front. They're both incredibly dynamic goal scorers, but they do it in different ways. I think Sam Kerr is definitely more of the creator of those two, and thus probably a little bit of a better link up to the midfield with me. So I think she would provide a lot of assists to Beth England, kind of that final ball. And of course, you can't leave Beth England out of your squad right now. She's unreal. So I think when people think of my lineup, they're going to be like, that's the winner. That's the best one.
Wow.
Brandon's the worst, obviously. So.
Hey, the only thing I'm going to come at you is if you don't have Berger in goal, I mean.
Yeah, like her record this year is ridiculous.
Yeah, but think how good Big Willie's been when he stepped in, apart from that goal against Leicester that we're going to forget about.
Yep, exactly.
It was his reason it was only 3-0 against Bayern Munich. Could have been about 7.
I don't know if I've seen Reece James play in a back three as the main defender. If anything, I would have tried to push him into the midfield.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, this is all out attack. We're not playing defense on my squad.
Is Reece James not wasted at right centre back?
Yeah, this is
Reece
the only
return, man.
James we're talking about.
The only reason I'd say no is because Nick said his outside center backs are going to apparently be crossing the ball, which means they're going to be getting up the pitch, which means he'll have 1, maybe 2 defenders back at all times.
See, what happened was I'm going to move N'Golo Kante way back into a center back role when they go.
He just drops into
He's just going to drop.
All right.
I have a very versatile team. They can do a lot of different things.
Well, who is it?
Except defend.
Reece James and Millie Bright were the 2 that were in all of our lineups. Aaron Cuthbert as well.
Aaron Cuthbert as well.
Kovacic as well. Oh no.
Nope.
Nick, you didn't have
Yeah, Conte.
Kovacic.
Nor Conte.
All out attack. I have N'Golo on my squad.
I don't have him in mine.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Bethany England?
I don't have it.
Because you didn't have it. That's right. See? So I think that's interesting then. So you've got Cuthbert, Reece James, and Millie Bright as the 3 players who made it into all of our squads. That's super interesting. Man, oh man. Well, I think we should put this challenge out to our listeners to work on some graphics. We want to see who you put in your combined 11. And this is the best game to play because you always win. There's no wrong answer. Oh, man. But anyways, this will wrap it up. Olivia, again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for playing games with us and sharing your stories. It's been a blast.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully we do it again. Hopefully when it's all back and up and running, we can be talking about what happens on the pitch.
Exactly. We'll let you put your fan hat on and get emotional with us like we do every week.
Where can people find your work outside of this wonderful podcast?
It's really difficult because the work I do obviously doesn't broadcast unless it's Chelsea, which obviously everyone can watch here. But we're not like a TV channel effectively. So any work I do at work, it goes out on most of the big TV channels in that country. So whether it be DAZN in Canada, whether it be SuperSport in South Africa. So whatever the big sports channel in your country, wherever you're listening from, that is where you'll find me.
So, NBC Sports for us in America.
NBC Sports, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll put links in the description as well. Nick and Dan, always a pleasure having you on, hanging out with us in quarantine, as we call it here. But that's going to wrap us up. Again, thanks, Chelsea fans, for hanging out with us. Another week of no football, trying to fill the void a little bit with some fun and some lighthearted Chelsea chat. But that's going to wrap it up. Make sure you listen to all 3 parts this week. And until next time, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.